Why is your social media getting likes but not leading to any calls? Most business owners treat social media like nice to have, but while they're debating budget, their competitors are building trust and staying omnipresent. Today I'm joined by Joe, the founder of Heyorka, to discuss how to fix your lead generation black hole. We're moving past those marketing myths and showing you how to turn your social media platforms into a measurable lead generation engine. Joe, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, excited to chat with you. Joe, many business owners feel like social media is a full-time job they just didn't sign up for. But in your estimation, how does automation move from, emergency posting to a more streamlined approval flow that takes minutes and not hours?
Yeah, I think right now social media is definitely going through a very interesting period, right? Right now, you're trying to get attention in these feeds. More and more people are being creators. I'm currently calling in from Malaysia, and what I'm realizing when I'm walking around is just people are just creating content on the fly, and it's really interesting to see. So you're up against not only other brands but also creators, and what that means is that you need to have a really good process, not just for approvals, but I would say in content creation in general. What is that content ideation, inspiration process, all the way to publishing, and really giving and empowering your social team as well. And if you have a social media agency, what are the green lines that they're good to go? If it falls within these boundaries, we're in agreement that you're able to experiment. And only if it's coming down to these 10%, this section of topics, then you'll have to rope us in, or we'll need to give approval, because social media is really not communication like mass comm as we know it. That's really about how do you be relevant in culture, and how do you actually create relationship or relevance with the people that you're trying to interact with. And so process is definitely really important, but really understanding that, it's a means to an end. It's to really get content that is resonating out there. And so I think like having a good process, having a good expectation around what is good to go, what needs to be approved, and finally really adopting that, experimental mindset.
And Heyorka is a great central hub and to create that process. So at TechWyse, we talk about the governance and approval flow, and that's a little bit more of a technical jargony term. But in layman's terms, how does having a central hub like Heyorka for approvals prevent a brand from losing its voice or posting the wrong thing?
Yeah, just think like it's really important to have a source of truth where everyone is on the same page, literally on a digital platform. You can think about it as an approval platform, but I think the way we always encourage people to think about it is this is a platform where everyone's able to be on the same page. You can see what is in flight, what is being scheduled, what is being worked on, what is being approved, what it needs revision, and different stakeholders require different things. And so instead of being bogged down on email chains, you actually have one central location to be able to see where things are in the content pipeline, where things are in progress, where you need input, where you need to jump in. And so, if I may sort of reposition it a little bit, the way we sort of talk about, if you can work to a place where you don't need approvals, that's even better. But governance is important. Setting expectations is important. Having a central place where everyone can access your content and get the information they need is important. And so whether it's Heyorka or it's a platform that you guys have decided that this is what you're going to be adopting, just make sure that everyone's clear that this is going to be our source of truth. And this is where the information is going to live. And here's how we're going to interact with one another.
Yeah, and business owners, they sometimes see, and sometimes even clients, they see social media as a black hole investment. So when you look at the Heyorka dashboard, what are maybe 2 or 3 metrics that actually signal business growth rather than just vanity likes and, those vanity numbers that we sometimes look at?
Yeah, 100%. So this is my hot take. I think social media should actually contribute to revenue pipeline. Yes. So a lot of people think that, social media is brand building, which is true, but it's only half the story. And so I think it comes down to really measuring the right things. And a lot of times I find that we get ourselves in trouble because we're measuring the right things with the wrong tools. So what I mean by that is really understanding which stage of the funnel we're measuring. And in simple mode, in simple ways, we like to think about leading measures and lagging measures. Leading measures tells you that you're heading in the right direction. Lagging measures tells you that this is the proof. The proof is in the pudding, right? Like this is basically influenced by our community. This is influenced by the work that we've done in social media. And so just to give you a couple of examples to make it concrete, if we're, say, investing in social media and we are investing in our LinkedIn strategy, LinkedIn as a channel, then the leading measure that we would adopt, for example, in Hayworka, because brand is a big part of it, brand recall is a big part of it, we actually measure mentions, the number of mentions that we get, brand mentions that we get on the LinkedIn platform. So the more mentions that we get, we know that we're heading in the right direction. The things that we're doing are leading to these leading indicators. So these things come really fast. So if we do a webinar and we're investing in getting our LinkedIn audience to the webinar, then we will want to see the mentions on LinkedIn actually spiking post-event. And then when we're actually measuring the lagging measure, when people actually convert into a customer, that's where CRM comes in, right? We actually ask them a very simple, almost so simple question that some people feel like it's too simplistic. We just ask them, where did you hear about us? Open text field. We actually always fight the marketer's urge to try to put drop-down menus. The thing is, because you are trying to measure brand recall, like where exactly are people hearing about you? And so we put the open text field, and people would say LinkedIn, people would say newsletter, and therefore we're able to then attribute revenue back to the source, the brand recall moment that people are remembering. Because as you know, it's not just linear, brand journey is not linear, it's multi-touch point. But what's important is, what is that one thing that made an impression on them that they would say, actually, I remember this webinar that I went to, I remember this LinkedIn post that really made an impression on me. And subconsciously, obviously, they're multi-touch point. And so that's how we measure it. You want to think about lagging, set the expectation. This is going to take months. If you know your numbers, you know your sales cycle. So you can say 30, 60 days. However, leading measure would tell us that we're heading in the right direction. If we pick the right thing, then you will see the number of mentions actually increasing, and therefore the number of reach increasing, and therefore we're heading in the right direction. So that's how we sort of measure social media and how it actually contributes to pipeline.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that we talk about a lot here at TechWyse is the local clients and really resonating, for the actual community. And some people, they'll do these vanity posts and they get the data. And how does one distinguish on what actually to post instead of, just wasting money on content, and start doubling down on, the content that actually gets people to pick up the phone and, resonate with the actual brand and consumer?
Yeah, I mean, one word, community. What does your community care about? And then the second thing is why? Why should they follow you? Why should they give you the currency of attention? If I can sidetrack a little bit,
Absolutely.
As marketers, we are trying to get attention, right? The attention is currency. That's why the YouTubers, these kids driving Ferraris, they amass all these things because they're literally able to function like a media company where attention is given to them because of what they're able to put out, the value that they're providing to the audience. And so we need to ask ourselves, why should people give us their attention? What is the value that the community is deriving? So instead of starting with what do we want to get out of our community, we should ask, why should the community, out of all the brands that they could follow and give attention to, why should they follow us? And so that helps you get to the problem of value, which is, what is the value? Is it education? Is it inspiration? Is it entertainment? It's generally a mix of a couple of things, right? And so why should people follow? And so if you start with that, you're more likely to create a more community-led kind of content. The other litmus test in Hayworka that I always tell people is, would you consume this content?
Yes. Yes.
If you're going to put out your email, would you open it? If you don't open it, if you wouldn't open it, don't put it out. I'd rather have quality over quantity. Obviously, discipline is important. But if you're not if you yourself are not going to consume it, then why would someone else consume it, right? Assuming that, there's relevance to your lives, but that's the bar that you want to put on. The content bar is so much higher right now just because of AI and just because of so many people in the content game, and therefore attention is harder and harder to come by. And you really got to ask yourself, what's the value? Why should people follow you?
And you mentioned, attention is harder to come by, and it's a little bit more difficult now with the massive shift towards zero-click social or zero-click search for that matter, where the goal is visibility on an app rather than just clicking to a website. So in your estimation, how does Aorca help businesses stay omnipresent without needing to constantly drive traffic elsewhere?
I think like two ways, right? Through our tools. So we always, I guess, I'll go back to our mission as a company and really live and breathe our mission. And we try to ask ourselves, are we being honest with what we put on paper and not, it's not just some platitude that we put on. And our mission is to make marketing human through communities. And so we do it through our product. How do we build products that allow people to manage their social media communities? And what's very exciting is that we believe that social media is just a start. You have to go beyond social as well. Like what do you want to do with the attention? Where should the attention go? So if they're giving you attention on social media, where should it go? And we're in a very exciting phase where we're building email newsletter integrations. We think email newsletter integrations and email newsletters are a really great way to keep attention. Because now you own the traffic, you own the attention. And so that's one way on the product side that we are building, really being the best social media management tool for teams, and then helping our marketing customers do more than social media as well. And then the second way is our knowledge. So we host weekly webinars at Aorca. And so it's all about teaching people, what are some of the best brands doing, inviting these guests. I'm pretty sure TechWyse was one of our speakers as well, talking about, how some of the best marketing teams out there are approaching social media, approaching community, approaching how to actually get and activate attention. So those are the two things that we ask. And then I always challenge my team, like the programs that we put out, is this making marketing more human, or is this making marketing more inhuman? And therefore, in Aorca, for example, we don't do generative pictures. Like we just feel like that's something that is not on brand for us. I can go into that tangent.
Oh yeah, we can be here for hours for sure. No, you're absolutely right. And, you talk about the old way versus the new way. And we're looking at TechWyse, as like old SEO strategies and people being burned. And a common misconception is that SEO, there's a search bar in social media platforms. And that technically, is search engine optimization. You need to be optimized for whatever search platform there is, right? Just because it's not Google doesn't mean it's not SEO. So for someone who's been burned by these old SEO strategies, why is this on-platform visibility with these different social media platforms the most cost-effective way to generate leads in your estimation in 2026 and beyond?
Yeah, I mean, it's even more important to be on social media. A couple things, right? I think that changed in the last couple of years, even actually in the last year, that really changed the game. Number one, social media is now getting indexed. You search anything right now, the first thing that you see is not actually search results. Like you're actually seeing Reddit posts, Reddit threads, and also Instagram short videos and so forth, right? Yeah. And the second part as well, LLMs right now, blogs is too super important. So like for people that say SEO is dead, don't do blogs. I think that you're missing the point. Like these bots, these LLMs are trained on digital data. But what is different is that these LLMs are now aggregating trust signals in multiple sources, not just a domain authority. They're looking at, where are you getting cited? Do I believe? Essentially, it's like a person saying, "Do I believe you?" People talking about you, and then Reddit obviously have an unfair advantage where they sort of have this partnership with OpenAI to really surface these answers because that's where authentic conversations are more likely to happen. And so really understanding that in the age of AI, in the age of LLMs, it's not a technical question only a technical question that you're answering, which is how do we do SEO? It's about how do we get people to talk about us? How do we to get people to talk about us in the right places? And it's not just on your Google rankings. It's even more than that. And really, I think the only way you can do it is creating a brand that people want to talk about in these different places.
Yeah, absolutely. Last one for you here, Joe. If someone watching this video today is ready to fix their content chaos, in your estimation, how does the Hey Orca app act as a bridge between their daily operations and a consistent quote unquote fountain of leads?
Yeah, I think like first off, number one, really understanding that social media is one part of the larger digital strategy, right? And really understanding that if you want to build a durable brand, it has to come from your community, which is you have to build that word of mouth. You have to be a trusted source. If you're only looking for short-term results and you just want a big spike next month and just put money into paid marketing, the problem with that is that what I call paid addiction. If you don't invest in your fundamentals, if you don't invest in social media, you don't invest in your digital presence, you don't invest in creating a brand that people want to talk about, then you better have a war chest of money that you can dump money into, which very few of us have, right? It will become unsustainable. Your cost of acquisition is going to be unsustainable. Sooner or later, I talked to a lot of founders, I've talked to a lot of CMOs, you come to a conclusion that we need to get off this paid addiction treadmill. While we still have runway, we need to start working on our fundamentals because it's going to pay off in spades, in the next year. And so really focus on your social media presence. A tool like Hey Orca helps you manage all of it in one place. And then ask yourself, with social media, where do we want to actually direct the attention? Look for a newsletter tool that allows you to actually nurture these attention in private spaces, which is in your newsletter space. And then really work on your digital presence as well. Is our site the best practice, right? Like, is our site well crawled, is positioned to be well crawled, and really understanding what are some of the ways, what do we want to get out of it? Do we want to show up more on LLMs, which I assume most people would say yes? Then what are some of the strategies that we need to deploy? So social media is just the start, and Hey Orca helps you do that. But really asking yourself, what are we trying to achieve here? And that will dictate where you go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Joe, really want to thank you for your time here. That was awesome. Where can people find you on social media, or just, give a shout out to yourself and Hey Orca here? The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you so much. LinkedIn, you search Hey Orca, HEYORCA. And you can find me on LinkedIn as well. My name is Joe Teo, JOETEO. Should be able to find me. And if you want to know more about Hey Orca, just go to heyorca.com, HEYORCA.com. And we have a ton of resources there, and we hope to see you in one of our weekly webinars as well.
The takeaway is simple: stop guessing and start scaling. Brand Halo is a comprehensive solution with video marketing, podcast production, and influencer campaigns that are available to you to scale and find out where all your consumers are online, that help you become more visible to qualified leads everywhere they're online. Thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you in the next video.